What's going on, guys? John with the ProCut. It's Monday. I'm up here. I started framing this wall, so I've got my tractor with the forks, brought all the tools up here, popped the tent back up all the way, still got my cut station set up. Now I'm using a full length 10-footer, and I've got my lines marked on it, and I can clamp this scrap on, and then I'm able to just slam boards up here and freaking cut them very quickly. So it's always nice to have a jig. I've got all these studs cut, ready to nail. You'll notice I finally remembered to put on my freaking work belt because I'm tired of not having things I need. So I've got my tape measure right here, racks of nails for the nail gun, some screws, and my speed square over here, and I'll fill it out as I go throughout the day. And I've got my hammer hanging off of the back. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the nails in this next bit of wall and get it stood up into place. And then as soon as that happens, I'll pop back on and show you what I've got going on. But first, let me show you a couple of other things. Okay, so with these first two sections up, you can see I've got a joint there and this joint is gonna be longer. So I've measured up there in order to get my first stud marked down here for layout, and then I've got my layout marked all the way down that board. And then this time I remembered to mark my king on the layout, and I had to move this stud over just a hair because of where the king goes. I was over a hair off of layout here, and then the next ones are all back on layout. So I only moved that one. I did not shift the rest of the layout. So now the next section of wall is up in place, and you can see I just left that door opening like that. So now you could take your circular saw and set it to depth, and you can cut out along this trimmer line, which your circular saw automatically gives you 1.5 inches with the guard. So all you gotta do is run the guard right up next to this king stud, and you'll be left with your little trimmer lip down there. Then you can go ahead and form your door opening, your trimmers and your headers and everything all in one shot, and put it up after the fact. And then hopefully that helps to avoid misalignment and nails coming out the side, because you have limited space in there. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. So now you can see I partially did that with this door opening, but from now on I'm going to try them this way and see what happens. But now ready to move on to this next section of wall, and then once that's done, we can tie in that outer wall and things will start to come together nicely. All right, so to set the blade depth, you're going to loosen up your depth thing, and then move the guard up out of your way. Then you're able to move the table down. Let me do this and then step back. Now with the depth set and locked back down, then you can take and come right over here to this edge and run right down there. You can see it's not quite where it needs to be, but that's fine. If there's a little bit of overhang, it really doesn't matter. And then same on the other side. And then you should be able to just knock that out of the way with the hammer. You could clean that up with an oscillating tool, but now you're ready to go ahead and put your trimmers and header in. Now with this one over here, you can see I already have my trimmers in, so on this side I'll have to just use a sawzall or an oscillating saw to cut this board out of the way here. But again, that could be all done after the fact. So the final portion of that long wall is framed out. Now I can stand it up, and then I can run my top cap across there and there. Now the last section of that wall is up. So that whole long wall is done, except for my door headers and my entrance header over there. but the basic framing is done. The headers and door jambs can be finished afterwards. But I'm going to continue to work on walls, and then I've got to figure out exactly how many eye joists I'm going to need for the second floor, and I can go ahead and get those on order tonight. Actually, I'll probably do that sooner rather than later. Man, been up here banging nails and figuring out measurements and everything all day. That wall back behind me is stood and done except for the door openings, but I've been working on this back wall. Let me spin you around, show you what I've got figured out so far. All right, so I've got the base plate all marked out and toe-nailed to the floor. Of course, I snapped my chalk line down there. And then I've got the 3 windows, stock size of the plan, framed out. And then this door on this side. And then there was supposed to be a door on this side, which we felt was stupid. So we just made that door a window, and then I pushed it over so all 4 windows are even spacing. Now I'm going to do a double top plate on top of the windows, and I've got to figure out an opening because we're going to put transom windows above these 4 windows to add more natural light into the room and glass. So I've got to figure out a height for that. Then I can go ahead and get that framed out. I've got 4 or 5 regular studs that I got to put on this side that are going to go all the way up. And now, since this wall is big time load bearing, but we want to put them transoms in there so our height goes up real high, so I can't put a traditional header in here. So what I'm going to do is, at the top of the wall for my second floor, so I'll have the transom box above this, and then just regular double top cap will be up here as well. And then on top of this wall, I'm going to put in a double LVL beam, and then my joists for the floor in here will use Simpson strong tie hangers to hang on that big beam that I run across there. And that'll do for all the load bearing needs that I have. Well, I got almost everything put away. I lowered down the tent and screwed it to the floor. Unfortunately, my saw is under that tent. We got a nasty storm moving in. And mind you, it wasn't supposed to rain today, according to the weather people. And we're about to have a nasty one.